It's important to create an alignment. When you are getting the money or the investment or the commitment, you need to say what you want to do. Not only for the next, until the next round or the next milestones, but where you want the company to go.
Today's guest is Assaf Glazer, an AI expert, entrepreneur, and father whose son's crib sparked one of the most trusted baby tech brands on the market. That crib became the foundation for Nanit, a smart monitor powered by AI and computer vision, now used by parents and researchers worldwide. Assaf shares how building Nanit pushed him through executive shakeups, leadership pivots, and the hard decision to step down. We talk about what came next, including culinary school, AI-powered recipe design, and his new startup, Vinst, focused on bringing personalization and data to your kitchen. There's a conversation about invention, identity, and the search for meaningful alignment. Let's start the show. Assaf Glazer, thank you so much for being on. I'm very excited to talk to you. For the record and audience, it is 9 p.m. in Tel Aviv where you are, so I appreciate you extending your day. Welcome.
Thanks for the opportunity. It is a pleasure.
Well, just for the audience background, you and I met many years ago while you were getting a small company off the ground, which has become a juggernaut called Nanit. And you were starting to raise money. I won't get into the details. I was part of an angel group that invested and we got bumped. And to this day, that was the biggest check I'd ever written at the moment, at that time. And I was so enraged that we got bumped. So I got my check back and I'm still ruining that I wasn't a part of that. But fast forward, I had a son 2.5 years ago. And of course, the first thing on the list was the Nanit, which had improved considerably above and beyond what was already, I think, a state of the art, ahead of the curve type of camera. But I want to talk about Nanit just to lay some groundwork for the audience. We're going to cover a large swath of information, but including your new startup, Vinst, which I'm excited to talk about as well. But if we can, I want to start with Nanit. And I know this was, I think what I found in a lot of entrepreneurs and founders is that it all starts with scratching your own itch in some way. And I know that you had started Nanit because of your son. You had just had a son. And I'm wondering if you could just start us out from the beginning. What sort of promoted that? And just for the audience, you have a Master of Science in Computer Science and a Ph.D. in AI and Computer Vision. You've done some considerable amount of postdoctoral research, so you are well equipped to be the person that spearheads this. But I wanted the audience to have a little bit of that background. So I'll transition it to you, but I'm very excited to hear about the genesis of Nanit.
Yes, I for the majority, at least until I launched Nanit, I was only always kind of from the algorithm, AI, computer science side. My background was before going to my PhD, I worked at Applied Materials in the semiconductor industry, working on process control and diagnosis. Like, if you would cover many aspects of what I did at Nanit and before, process control is part of it. We actually find defects on silicon wafers and use AI to classify the type of defect. That this was my main work, and by doing that, improving the process. And from that, I moved to my PhD, and I had my first boy, and say, this crib looks like a chamber. Let's do process control for babies. So it was about process control and identifying disorders, diseases earlier, using early signs with a camera. But soon after I became a dad, I didn't sleep. So you understand that sleep is your problem. And I finished my PhD in 2013 and moved as a postdoc to Cornell University. I joined them a program called, it was at Cornell Tech. They opened a new campus today it's in Roosevelt Island, but back then it was at Port Authority, the Google building. And I joined a program called Runway. It's part of Jacobs Institute. with Cornell and Technion together that actually became my first investors in Nanit. And from early detection of diseases and disorders, and we actually we raised our seed round and became a consumer product that first, we still want to expand our knowledge on human and baby development and sleep, but it's also helping parents to see their child from remote, but also equip them with the information they need to make better decisions for their child, where sleep is the first thing that we look at. We used vision to identify and sleep, but also parental intervention and give parents tip and recommendation of how to improve sleep over time. We were very science driven. Back then, the president of the Technion was one of the founders of sleep medicine, and really helped us to connect with top researchers in this field of sleep and development. We put cameras at Cornell sleeping labs. We did a validation study for our sleep technology. We worked on behavioral science and how to actually move through emotion and incentive, how to improve sleep. And we actually showed over time that parents with Nanit, their baby sleep more. And the product, you have it already. On the research side, we are also kind of a platform for kind of a gold standard, even to measure baby outside of the lab, like in the natural. So we are widely used by the research community for research purposes.
Well, the thing that I really have enjoyed about Nanit is obviously it highlights key moments when he first stands up or whatever, and then the information that's been provided, how to potentially help. That's been actually very critical. But when I was looking at this as an investment opportunity, something that caught my eye was the ability to sort of transpose the ability of this camera onto more clinical type studies, where you can actually you might be able to determine on a large scale, large volume number of reps, monitoring even adults, at least at the genesis. Was that ever something that manifested? Did that come to fruition? Because it seems like this camera could be a partner in your life for much longer than just as an infant.
I have so many things to say about it. This is, I think, the most exciting part about Nanit. The consumer-facing health aspect, the ability to use biofeedback for improving and maintenance, and we did a lot of collaborations from early detection of autism studies with UCLA and Autism Speak, development study with Kuhn University, with Yale, like dozens of. We showed that baby girls sleep more than baby boys with the data. We actually integrated an IRB, a clinical study, into our app. Like all users were asked whether they want to participate in a clinical study that we approved with a committee. Around 20% of our users accepted, and we built this platform that can be used for research. And this was the enabler for all the collaboration that we have done, and still exists, with dozens of journal paper peer review. And there was even in the Journal of Sex study. It is not like something that we finding the correlation between baby sleep and sex patterns. Like I think that
for the parents or for the child later in life.
They found out that the only correlation is with the number of awaking event.
Right. I could have told you that.
Yeah, you don't need a study for this, you say.
Right. Well, and this sort of like, it became a little bit more interesting for me too, just because I didn't know it at the time, but I have come to know it since, that my dad has sleep apnea, and how important, as I've aged and having a kid, how important sleep has become just to my overall. I mean, everything I do during the day is really functioning to drive better sleep because I think it's a compounding effect. You were not an expert in sleep before you started this. What have you learned about sleep hygiene, and how has that translated to your own daily routines?
I'm not a sleep expert, like by training, but we work closely with really top minds on this part. Everything that we know in sleep is pretty new, like from the 50s. Like before that, there was no much knowledge. But the sleep architecture and the development of baby sleep is a fascinating topic, like from how it changed during the first month. And there are a lot of, it's related to our development in general in life. And I think it's a leading measure in our health, our sleep. Uh, my kids are sleeping really well, very good. Like I can say that if there is something that came out of it is good sleep for me and for my kids. Um, I think that it's also related to your like. There's so many things that we don't know still about the connection between our sleep at childhood and adult. Lots of learning still to do on this part.
Speaking of learning, I want to talk a little bit about the business side of Nanit. I think starting from, was it your Series A? Um, Tell me about that process of actually going from a world of academia. Was this your first startup?
I had some trials before, but nothing came into maturity as an Nanit.
So, what was this process like, going to raise money while running the company, while trying to grow it, while trying to build R&D that was sufficient to be a foundation for the company, wearing all those different hats? I'm just curious what your experience was like.
There are different, like every round is has a different dynamic, and for us we had our seed round with that led by Upfront Ventures, and Mark Sasler led the round, and brought a lot of expertise and knowledge, and I was pretty much green on everything. I came from uh, to build a consumer hardware product with lots of innovation risk. We run computer vision in the cloud, in firmware, in mobile, working into like a place like with almost zero tolerance, like parenting. Like if the camera doesn't work for a second, or you don't hear your baby cry, or a sleep tip that how parents are opinionated about different topics, and no background, not in finance, marketing. It was extremely, it was a huge challenge to go into it. But this is what all founders do. Like usually, like there are second timers, but on this part, it was a huge challenge, and we managed to bring on board the financial partners and the directors that help us to do the learning to through like the seed was pretty much raising money today and raising money 10 years ago is different.
For sure.
It's
Can you
different.
talk a little bit about that?
uh, I think that AI made a big change. I don't think that you need a lot of capital to show early signs of real business. On the other side, the expectations of what you come with. I think that today it was probably too early and too amateur to give $4 million with nothing. I had nothing, and they put $4 million for the seed round. Um, Definitely, the hardest round was the A round. There is kind of a desert between the seed and the A, and this is the toughest round that we had, with lots of challenges, and I can talk a lot also about this. So
Well, so talk to me about what is the difference from the seed rounds to the series rounds? What is the biggest in terms of your frame of reference, how you're approaching it, what you're having to bring to the table?
yeah, when you start, you have nothing, and if people believe in you, usually it's your friends and family. Like
Right.
this is the beginning. Then at some point you have some institutionals, let's say professional investors that said, okay, let's do a pre-seed or a seed round, and put some structure in what you're doing. And this is where still there is a question. There is before you start selling and after you start selling, or
Yep.
when you build dreams and when you need to meet expectations. Those are, and I think that before that, the your partners or the financial partners, or there is no much use of a word, because you need to do a lot of things, and um, meeting your projections from quarter to quarter is not discussed. But after that, after the seed round, it's like I always try to look at it as a nuclear center that you put the uranium poles inside the water, and then no one can enter this nuclear setting again. So this is what happened after you kind of start selling and building your company, and then you have projections, and you have a burn that goes against spend, and this is where the board has much more impact and influence and support that they can provide to the company. Um, and this is after the Series A, the Series Seed. The Series A is okay, so it's working. The unit economics is working. Let's do it bigger. Let's do the next stage. And the Series B, it's like, okay, let's now put NetSuite and bring all the C levels that will take you to whatever. And then the C round and D round are kind of the same. It depends how much money you need.
Well,
Uh,
and what do you think you take away from raising? What do you look for in partners and financial partners, knowing now what you didn't know then? And
uh,
also, not just from a financial perspective, but like, what else do they bring to the table that's meaningful to really help to accelerate growth, to ensure that you're not, going down a path that could be treacherous down the road.
um, your partners, and it's not only the directors that are on your board, everyone that become that have some stake in the game. Everyone is a multiplier on what you're doing. Like it's usually these are high profile individuals that have their network, and your network, I won't say that it's the most important thing on your experience that you bring so far, but it reflects some of your work that you have done. Um, and if you bring the right people around you, you can cover many of your blind spots. And I think that the entrepreneurial path is a search problem. Every time you encounter a problem that you need to solve, and how do you solve it? It's a research. It's like go there or that, and this is where you approach your partners to help you with their advice, their solution. You take what you need, like don't take what you don't want to take, and you continue to your next challenge if you will manage to solve it. So your partners, your board are really instructive or helpful on this part. But it's important to create an alignment when you are getting the money or the investment or the commitment. You need to say what you want to do, not only for the next until the next round or the next milestones, but where you want the company to go. And the biggest problems or the most important things that are you think, or you should talk about it in the beginning, And this is the point when you actually decide to work together. Um, um, so if I have some lesson learned about it is about this type of communication. Um, Say what you want to do, have an alignment, an agreement around it, and and continue to move forward.
Well, on that note, I want to sort of unpack a little bit about when you parted ways with your COO and your CRO.
Mhm.
And I know that you brought on a new team and had an offsite shortly thereafter. And I know that you've referenced that that was a big contributing factor to not only just a learning process, but to actually bringing a team in that was more aligned. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you observed going through that and what you take away in sort of your new venture and elsewhere, as you approach
Yeah,
shaping a vision?
I talked about it with with my friends or my partners. On it's first time that I'm talking about it in public. This was one of the painful moments that I had in my life. It Until now, it has a lot of impact on how I function today, as a founder, as a CEO, as a company. I you know I, when you have some disagreement with your friends or whatever, um, there are two ways to solve it, right? There are like, let's talk about it and let's go to prosecution. There are two ways to work around it. Um, Usually, if it's your friend, you share some values and you solve it. So when shit hit the fan, you manage to solve it and you continue to move to the next phase. But when there is no culture fit, and when there are disagreements in values, then it become a problem. When I said that Series A was my hardest round, I guess it's because the partner that we met saw that there is some problem with the team.
They
We had
highlighted it to you.
disagreement. And we didn't manage to solve them. Eventually, we solved everything like grown-ups. Okay, I don't think that there was something like it's happened in life, and we need to break apart, and like to everyone need to continue to in place that they want to, and but we had to separate, and I was left alone um, with. Just understand the situation. We were moving our manufacturing site. We were bleeding cash from supply chain inefficiencies. Uh, it was just before the holiday season. We had a new camera to launch. Uh, I had to take on me like finance, marketing, legal, sales, operations, and I had to hire those people while running those things. A lot of learnings by with blood. Um, and in 3 months, I think we bring VP Finance, VP Marketing, VP Operation, soon after VP Sales. Um, it was a hell of a quarter. We launched Amazon during this quarter. We built display for the first retail store. So we had like build display. I had no one on the team so I had to. It's a search problem. This is where I had on this top part on this side. Like my board was the perfect board for to support me with this effort with lots of experience and connections. But eventually, I was alone, and my co-founder was in Israel running my CTO. So it wasn't he wasn't on the business side. Um, I think that when I'm reflecting, soon after we finished those hired, we went on an offsite weekend and build our core values for the organization. and learn how important is to build your venture about a culture that is you feel comfortable as a founder to work and communicate. Um, uh, this was the I think the most important learning, how culture and core values are important in putting them in the right way for how you as founders and running a company.
What are some of the questions you would use to help define a culture? I mean, to some degree, I'm assuming that you're actually laying the groundwork for other people to be coming to as the founder, but there is some collaboration even with some of those partners where you want to incorporate their own perspective and make sure that it's aligned with what you're trying to achieve.
The culture is something that you build with your executives.
Yep.
um, it's something that should be done in collaboration with who we are today, and should come doing it with management that you hire. Just like it's probably sometimes when you are not the one that hire people, it's harder to, like, there are challenges there, but it could work. It really depends. uh, Usually, it's like these are they're like um, best practices of how to make it work, like how to define core values. So we had people that everyone write what they think are what is important for them. We had a moderator that helped us to collect all this feedback and come with some level of conclusions. And there are some exercises that you do together before, after, to put it together on a paper and think about it. It is a process. It
Yeah.
is a process.
Well, what I find fascinating about this too is, I mean, from my experience, it's primarily real estate, both in a broker's capacity and in an ownership capacity. These deals tend to happen in relatively short order, and you're having to put the team together pretty quickly. And you get better over time. You don't know this. You can't read this in a book and sort of identify how to best identify good partners. You know you've got a good partner when you're in the foxhole and you're under attack, and nobody leaves their ground. That's a really good partner that you have. You don't always find those types of people when you're sort of scattering and scrambling to get this team assembled. You hopefully get better over time, but I guess my question here is, as I've gone through this process at each iteration, I've sort of upped my own, I don't know if it's emotional intelligence or perception, or maybe aligned my behaviors with my gut better. But you have a sense, right, of people who are going to be collaborative and contributing in a way that is accretive. It's greater than the sum of its parts. But you can't always identify it up front, except through some sort of gut sense. I guess that's not really the right word. I'm curious if you have any comment on having gone through it, because culturally, post Series A is probably a little bit different of a culture than it was in the seed rounds. You also knew a whole lot more. And now in another venture in Vinst, I'm sure you're having to take a lot of those skill sets and apply them. So, what are you bringing to the table that you wish you maybe had known at the beginning, or what advice would you give to somebody trying to assemble a team with culture?
The brand and the core values are always evolving. Like, but um, there are two ways you can let them, and there are always core values in brand, even if you didn't define them. Uh, you can decide whether it will be managed or it will be not managed, and whatever happened will happen. Um, so I think that in my second venture, Vince, the first thing that I did was to write down the brand strategy. Like, it was just, I took myself, my co-founder, said, what are we building? What is the purpose? what is the goal, how to, and from there we pretty fast jump into even visual identity in a very early phase of the company. Since I worked with my co-founder at Vinst, used to be our Chen Fisher used to be my SVP of R&D at Nanit. So we work over a decade together. So culture was something that we already had, and maybe it's a good lesson learned, like having working with someone that you have some work experience with. It's bring a lot of um, it's it's a good start. It's remove a lot of the risks involved in culture conflicts or whatever.
What I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share what your process was like when you decided it was time for you to step down from Nanit.
Oh, it's also a long story. Um, I was very optimistic. We in 2019 we actually launched. We actually become a market leader. We started in early 2019. We started to meet our projections. Um, After changing the management, by the way, there was the Series B that this is where we met. It was an oversubscribed round. Like when things are moving well, it's also reflected in the round. Um, and then I think that there was a joint decision between us and the board. Like the board said, like we don't need more innovation. We have a great product. Let's sell and let's bring some sales mentality. Um, I moved back to Israel, and the concept was to. We first brought a senior executive to lead the sales and marketing, and then we kind of switched position. When I moving to the chairman position and chief product officer, like working with the board on strategy and on product with strategy. And you know I was very optimistic that it will work, but it didn't work. um, Founders that are CEO are like white elephants. A professional CEO that go into a company wants to bring their people and their culture into and I've seen it many times. And eventually, I we didn't share the same vision for the company in some sense, or we're in a line on the direction. I was a big believer in health. I saw that. I said, we can sell more, but there is a glass ceiling for this market, $4 billion. uh, we should look into the data and go after health. And I was working really hard on trying to convince the board to do a spin out and start to work only on the data. Uh, we signed a contract with HSS on early detection of cerebral palsy and other neuromuscular disorders. I signed a contract with J&J on using biofeedback from Nanit for precision medicine for some eczema medicine. It was a study that was supposed to start in June 2020. COVID started and nothing happened. But think about it, signing with J&J a product on clinical trial of development drugs. And we started to work with UCLA and Autism Speak on early detection of autism during the first year. And I said, we build an amazing consumer attracting product like the kiosk with the best sandwiches on the first floor of the hospital. Let's build a hospital. And I convinced some of the boards, but the consensus eventually was every dollar should go to growth. And for me, it didn't leave a place to bring myself. It was a challenge for me. I felt that I shouldn't, I cannot stay. So
Yeah.
I decided
Well,
to leave
you seem like
eventually.
a tinkerer, somebody who
Hmm?
wants to. You seem like a tinkerer, somebody that tinkers with things, that likes to fix it and improve it and make it something more iterative and to continue to push that boundary. Is that something you faced uh, being restricted from in this position?
This is what I always wanted to do with
Yeah.
Nanit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was from the early beginning. You understand now my background and what I'm doing. Like this is consumer facing health, and also with Vinst, we're thinking about precision nutrition and how to use biofeedback to improve our health. Like with AI today, you can do much more. You can go into unstructured data and find diamonds in how consumer, like just monitoring how babies sleep or how people eat. This is where I at some point with Nanit we moved to textile. Before my PhD, even I tried to take a textile um, manufacture and bring there some tools for process control, and I did it also for flowers and I for tomatoes, like process control, and trying to look at this kind of early detection is something I'm very excited about in almost every domain that I'm going after.
Well, on that note, it seems like you wanted to add yet another moniker to your name with the culinary master diploma from Bishulim. So
Yeah,
you left Nanit. You took about what, a year off, or did you
and I
start to
took
do
more than
this?
a year off. Yes,
Okay,
I during COVID I was in New York,
okay,
and I couldn't stand watching my I have three kids and it all over. I don't know where you were, probably in LA. Like in New York, it felt like Armageddon. And how do you, so I couldn't stand watching them eating these double crust chicken fingers. And I put 2 hour slots on my calendar and start cooking. Now, I was never a professional. I worked in restaurants before. I like service. As you can imagine, I have a lot of energy. This is also why I can work until late. Um, and I love it. Sitting with your kids around the table and having some time to understand their picky taste, and it's uniting, and it's a way to express love, and it's a way for us to feel more healthy. And once we make the food that we eat, we're more aware. I think that there was a point in time that I started to watch Netflix series on food, like and then read Michael Pollan Cook the book, and then modern cuisine and gastronomy and anthropology, and it started to grow on me. My passion moved from baby sleep to nutrition, and I started to feel myself cooking. I said, it's mind blowing. Like with multimodal and AI, you can put your phone like this looking at you, and it will tell you what to do by watching Waze or Google Map for cooking. I can watch into your steak and show you how it looks in 5 minutes from now, and when you need to flip it from one side to another, and where to start. It's 10% of global economy. It's not baby sleep. So when I stepped down from Nanit, I stayed as the chairman on the board. The board was very generous with me. I gave me the wealth for me and for my family. I stayed as the chairman, but no one listened to me at this time. It was very kind of polite, like nice from them, but I didn't really. And I said, let's immerse myself into this. Let's go into first start where with the human trait, like why do we eat? Why? What is tasty? So um, I went on a cooking school full time for a year. Learn also pastry. And I worked as a cook in a fine dining restaurant. Surround myself with people that explain me how to put the practice. It was I mean, my wife told me, are you crazy? We are 17, coming, and I was cleaning the kitchen until 2 a.m. I love it. I felt that I learned a lot. I also went to the academia and work with food tech founders, and I was even trying to connect between the two. It is amazing. You go into faculty of food and agriculture, wherever you go, they do not get any practical knowledge about culinary. They go home and eat daisy cheese and cucumber. Like it's not. Then I said, you are a food scientist. Like, why don't you get? So I connected between my school and the Technion, and they did some pilot run of trying to educate people around home cooking. I think that what I found like a shared purpose is what, like, when you look at our food system, we want to make it uniting. We want to make it healthier. We want to make it cheaper with less resources and environmental friendly. These four reasons are the top reasons why people cook at home. We cook the food we love for the people we love. We want to be healthy. We want to save money. We want to serve our environment. So let's start by making people cook more and start to aggregate the data. And with the data that we aggregate, let's start to use biofeedback and precision nutrition and try to look into even longevity, like things that how we can improve our health through our nutrition habits, I would say, through home cooking. And there are a lot of studies that show that people that cook at home statistically have better nutrition habits. So it's a way for us to just bring more um, health practices to our life.
Well, I also think, we've gotten so distant from food in that we can order it. It's quick. A lot of people use microwaves. I think a lot of Americans are byproducts of the 80s where you had frozen dinners and the like, and bigger pantries meant more storage and more preservatives and the like. And I think we got farther and farther away from what is healthful. And I think that there's a bigger shift. The pandemic, I think, certainly helped that. But this is an interesting time for you to be pursuing this. I'm curious. Well, I've got the video of Vinst. I was wondering if you might just walk us through while I'll just do a share screen here of what Vinst actually does, because I think it's super exciting to witness, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, so I don't want to mince any words, but you can see this, right? So this is going to
Yes.
be playing at a little more than regular speed. I don't have the sound, but I'm wondering if you can talk through for
Yeah.
the audience who's
You can
listening.
take whatever recipes from whatever location and put it in one place, whatever, and we give you an easy to follow format that you can actually watch the recipe and cook with ease. What you saw before, it's like our bookshelf, but every recipe you can tweak it with AI to gluten free, easy to make. We prepare all timers for you. If you can watch multiple recipes. You have your chat, of course, that you can talk with in the context of the recipe. If you take images, we dress up your recipe and put it in a really nice format, or you can generate images with AI if you want and to play with it. And all the data is extracted, so we also break the recipes into category and help you to organize it. It's the new age of media, and
It's
what you see
amazing.
now, it's the Spotify. It's like Spotify for cooking. Like, it's a playlist with all your. It's really fast. So you like, but yeah, you can print books eventually. This is the heart. Like,
Absolutely.
everything that you saw in the app is free. um, we think that this is part of the pain that I have from Nanit. We did a lot of research, but only if you can pay $300 you can enjoy Nanit. So are you making a real impact on society? And when we started Vince, we said we want to be in every kitchen. We believe in and cooking is very collaborative. Like it's recipes and inspiration from your mom, dad, blogger. It's all about sharing, and you have your cooking team and people. So everyone should be able to enjoy Vinst with all the AI tools and whatever. And let's build this collaborative environment. And if you want to do some gifting, or if you want to preserve family recipes, it's not a must, like it's an option. Like I think that I then you can print a book.
That actually is super amazing to me because I
With my
think it's
mom's pickles, the best pickles.
so good because it's an heirloom, right? I mean, that's you're capturing a moment of time that's timeless.
This is self-published books. I love it. It's not for cooking, like it's just for showcase or. Um, but it's nice that every recipe, this cookbook come with Spotify. So if you will kind of go to the bookshelf when you download the app and go now and download, you will have one book in the bookshelf. It's this book. And it's an example of a book that you can make. And every recipe also have kind of a QR code. So you can show it to someone and we will carry the recipe and with you. And the book itself has a QR code. So you can actually share books, and we create a collaborative cookbooks. So
What where do you see this going? And I mean, what's your goal for? You've eliminated the production aspect of it. This is all digital, so you can effectively scale without any intrusion from other people in a way that was very difficult to do with a consumer product like Nanit. I'm hoping that gives you some freedom, but I'm curious where this goes in the long run in your mind.
in one word, education.
Yeah.
In two words, three words: education and process control.
This is very process control. I mean, when you were talking about it, it's working in the restaurants, scrubbing till 2 a.m. This is all. I saw how it fit into your
I think that
area of expertise.
if there is one area that I'm very excited about the intersection with AI is education, and for two reasons. First is that education is our ways to find our path in life. So education, it's a big thing. Second thing, the whole concept of education with AI changed. Like, think about a professional book that you're writing. There is no reason to read this book as it is. The book should rewrite itself according to what you need to know. You should tell the book, I want to know this, and the book will arrange itself. Now, add to this voice and vision. It's a complete show, like an image worth 1,000 words. So you can now build a crazy, different, disruptive technology with AI that will take every professional book and turn it into a very efficient, engaging uh, educator at your hand. Uh, Doing it in home cooking is very, very exciting. Our core technology, by the way, is vision support. We have a patent around it, and this is where Vince started with a patent on vision support. I love vision and AI is one of my things that I've been working on all my life. So it's pretty straightforward that I go after that. But I think that combining it with education and cooking now is very exciting. Now, when you're putting together the things that we have done with Nanit around the data and how it can use to for sleep training, then you can think about every week using biofeedback from sleep, Apple Watch, or even blood test that is connected to healthcare, and to see what you ate during the week affect your biometrics. And using biofeedback, you can use AI to make changes in the household nutrition. Like, it's not like looking into AI calc or whatever, and it's more looking as a family how we actually consume food. And this is very, very very exciting that we can do it now with the technology, and this is where we're going after with Vinst.
Um, I want to take a minute and just expand outward because we've had a couple of people on the show that are more embedded in AI than others. You are probably the most, or second to none, of all the guests. And most listeners are not computer science backgrounds. I'm curious if you could just give us a sense of what do you think. You've been in AI for over a decade. You've seen where it was, where it is now. What's your take on where we're going? Do you see concerns arising from what's being developed? What don't we know? And what makes you so excited as well? I mean, I'm not trying to be, I'm very excited about it, but I think there are concerns.
I'm trying to be optimistic in my life. It's my nature. We always build technologies that bring a lot of value to our life, but make us more dependent. Uh, Eventually, usually and unfortunately, through bad experiences, we improve our the way with that we use the technology. But I think that we will see in the next few years a lot of productivity that came out of it. AI is like electricity. It should go everywhere, like every domain in life. AI can do something. So it is, and I don't think that it's going to release people, at least when I'm looking at my business. It's just everyone will be 10x more efficient. There is kind of the Moore law for semiconductors that every 2 years we have that transistor to shrinks by two. I think there is the AI law. Like there is some level of efficiency. Eventually, it can build your product roadmap for the year just based on the data from the previous year. It can be like how we can improve. I think that every company that has more than 5 employees need to do some reconstructions or rearrangement or having some um, chief of staff with AI expertise that will raise their hands every time that wait, we can do it better with AI, so use it. I don't know how the adoption will, how fast it will happen, but it will change industry. I think in a positive way. Uh, we should be responsible. We should be nice to each other. We should think about our values as between people and between nations. And these are the important things. The AI is just technology.
I want to ask, as we wrap this up, what advice do you take from these experiences of founding these companies and seeing the grit and requirements in order to make them successful? How that applies to how you parent, how you view your sons, how you implement processes for them.
Uh, it took me time to trust my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as a founder, you need to trust your instincts. Like every person that you meet is a visitor for the moment. Like you're alone for the majority of the time, and if you are the right person, or you have the passion and you lead with your heart, okay, no, try to be authentic with yourself. And there is a real problem that you are trying to solve. And if you will believe in yourself and lead with your heart and listen to people and take what you want and have the confidence to not take what you want, you have probably the chances to be successful or to do something with an impact. And usually most people, like 90% of the things around, they don't know. Like it's a search problem. Like so shouldn't be a barrier. It shouldn't be something that, like, everyone it's like this. Just lead with your heart and trust your instincts.
That's such amazing advice. I'm so grateful that you were as open as you were, and for coming on. As we wrap this up, any closing thoughts or things you think I might have missed?
First, I would like to thank you for reaching out.
The
It
pleasure's all
is,
mine.
yeah, I remember, I think it was the Upfront Ventures that we met outside
Yeah,
in how
Hollywood.
their annual summit. Um, and I hope that next time that we'll have the opportunity, we'll also get together over a cup of coffee.
I would love to.
And maybe with Vinst, it will work.
Well,
Who
I'm
knows?
very excited about what you're doing at Vinst, and hopefully that's another opportunity for you to come on again. But thank you again, Assaf. It's been great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. For a detailed list of episodes and show notes, visit scalesofsuccesspodcast.com. If you found this conversation engaging, consider signing up for our newsletter, where we go even deeper on a weekly basis, sharing exclusive insights and actionable strategies that can help you in your own journey. We'd also appreciate if you subscribed, rated, or shared today's episode. It helps us to attract more illuminating guests, adding to the list of enlightening conversations we've had with New York Times bestsellers, producers, founders, CEOs, congressmen, and other independent thinkers who are challenging the status quo. You can also follow us for updates, extra content, and more insights from our guests. We hope to have you back again next week for another episode of Scales of Success. Scales of Success is an Edge West Capital production.